One thing that used to really bother me as a kid and really changed my life for the worst is this restart button my mother and father used all the time to make sure nobody ever continued treating me. I never got to keep in contact with the same people. And I'll describe how. So when I was in Westford and I got the overdose, and doctors and teachers and people were first noticing what was wrong with me, I was starting to make friends. I was quickly taken out of there. They packed up all my stuff. I was too young to pack my own stuff, so my mother packed all my stuff. We went to Texas. Apparently, my box of stuff fell off the truck with some other stuff my parents had. So they said my stuff was missing. So all my boxes I thought were missing, I had none of my stuff. So we move into Texas. My mother has her stuff. They got what they need. They can buy replacements. My father has what he needs. He has his stuff. He can buy replacements. But I have nothing. Well, about a year later, I start going through this closet outside, this little shed. And wouldn't you know, my box of stuff, half of it was there. The whole time, half of my stuff was outside in a shed. My parents are telling me to check through the boxes in the house, check through the boxes in the house. They don't tell me that this box is in the shed. They don't help me find my stuff for a full year. Literally, I cry about this. I'm like, oh, my stuff fell off a truck. And some of it did. But my mother and father also stored my stuff in the back of their stuff that they didn't want in a shed for an entire year. Now, there could have been phone numbers from my friends at that point that already changed. There could have been so much. And don't forget, we've stopped my medical care now. I'm no longer receiving, or no, people aren't realizing it, and my mother isn't talking about what happened. So none of the doctors seeing me now are concerned about what the doctors in Westford were, thanks to my mother hitting the reset button again. Reset Zach's life again. The schools don't know where to start me because I'm a new student from another state, and I just redid first grade in Westford because my mother wanted me to. So that's difficult. But then when I finally get my bearings, I found my stuff in the shed, I'm starting to make friends. My neighbor now trusts me because he's a crazy asshole lighting newspapers on fire and trying to make Molotovs out of little tiny mini cologne bottles. I mean, this was a bigger kid. This was a heavy-set kid that was maybe 5 years older than me. But because I saw that and I kept my mouth shut, even though he got caught and I got blamed for one of them, I can't remember which one. I always got blamed for other people's stuff. I got blamed for stuff I didn't even know nothing about. It was my mother's mental. They loved it. Oh, my mother got kicks out of blaming me for anything in her life, in her father's life, in some kid down the street's life, whatever she could come up with. One time she even got the neighbors to come up with, I traded a broken recorder for a broken video game pistol. You know those video game pistols where you have the cord attached to the box and you hit the birds with a gun? Well, it didn't have the cord anymore. The kid had the cord broken, so he cut off the cord and kept the gun. So he traded me the broken video game gun that no longer has a video game with it for a broken recorder he thought he could fix. Well, my mother and the neighbors decided that must be a stolen video game gun and that I must have cut it off of some arcade. Made up fantasies again. So I get punished once again for that one. For nothing, a fantasy. Once again, they make up a fantasy. Zach must have gone to an arcade and cut this off. You kidding me? You would have had the cops at your house. You know those arcades, how many people are there? They're not going to be missing one of those guns. No, I went to the neighbor's house. I traded a broken recorder for it. I traded, it's mine. But no, they didn't listen. They said, no, you're lying. Fantasy. This was always the case. My mother started with it with a medal. I won a swimming medal, and I must be a liar, a thief, and I must have attachment disorder. Then in Texas, I trade a recorder for a broken video game gun, and I must have gone to arcades cutting off guns. They always come up with these stupid-ass fantasies and push them. And then I get drugged and on medication. Luckily, the doctors would not give my mother dangerous drugs to hurt me with in Texas. It wasn't until we came back to Massachusetts that doctors were willing to give my mother dangerous drugs to hurt me with. And the doctors were doing it because they were feeding into my mother's fantasies. Oh, my son is bipolar. Oh, my son has this. Oh, my son's a thief. Oh, my son's a liar. Oh, my son's doing all this. Oh, don't believe him. This overdose is just an allergy attack. He likes to do this. He's making up stories. I never hit him. I never threw a shoe at him. I don't drink heavy. I don't. No, no, no. He's just making up stories. He just wants attention. No, he really has a problem with his biological father. Don't pay no attention to what my son's saying. He has a mental illness. We need more drugs. Give me some Zyprexa to give to him, and he won't do this anymore. Give me some Thorazine. Give me some Seroquel to give to my son. This was my mother making up stories about things. Crazy, getting me hurt, more hurt, getting me poisoned, shutting down my organs, making it so my nervous system would never work again, destroying my stomach, destroying my esophagus, making me vomit every morning for years on end. Just terrible. Sick at every Halloween, vomiting before I could even go out trick or treating. I didn't get no candy. I wasn't, well, other kids got to go trick or treating and got bags of candy. I got to sit at a toilet vomiting because my mother poisoned me. So, anyways, that's Texas. My stuff is gone. Reset. Then they send me to New Mexico. She resets the button again. So we spent some time in Texas. They won't give her drugs. I don't look disabled. The teachers say I'm doing great. Things are starting to go up. So she has to reset the button again. Oh no, I'm going to get caught. He's doing too good. Oh, things are doing too good here. So she hits the reset button. She Googles and starts looking for, or starts asking around, where is there a program I can stuff them in that might be bad or might get them out of my face where they're not going to realize what I did because they can't talk to me. So they're not going to know about the overdose. And because this kid is acting so shaky and problems with cold, if I send them there, oh boy, they'll never catch on to what's going on. Plus, we get vacations. There's multiple reasons for it. My mother and father can vacation all they want. They don't have to be responsible for a kid. And my mother can dodge her responsibilities to giving me an overdose and now avoiding medical care for that overdose. Also, her lies and manipulations, all of it. So she sends me to this attachment disorder in New Mexico cabin where the parents only see their children 1 hour a month. Now that should be a bad sign right there. Plus, it's a dirt field with rattlesnakes, red anthills to your knees, a bear, a bunch of cougars. You can actually see the bear prints on the dumpster and bear poop out in the yard. Black widows under the sink in our bedrooms. Outside, we used to play. Well, other kids would play with them. Big tarantulas, lizards, everything out there. Big dirt pile full of animals. And if you go past the dirt lot where the pool eventually is going to go, they kept on telling us, oh, in a couple of years, we're getting a pool. Don't move those sticks because in a couple of years, we're getting a pool. Oh, great. You're going to beat the crap out of us. And then eventually you're going to get enough money to open up a real program. I see. So you treat us shitty to get the money for the real program. And then when you finally have the buildings built and the pool built and the staff hired, then you have an actual program. But see, we didn't have a teacher. The teacher quit after 3 months. We didn't have proper staffing. They literally had to take this big, giant, 300-pound African-American night staff to be day staff that was choking out kids, throwing them away, like throwing kids across the room away, like away from just, fucking throwing them. You got him playing a goldfish game where he throws goldfish at the kids, and if you look up, then he strangles you. If you're being forced to eat poisonous food, or they strangle you on the strangle couch. I'm not even kidding until you can't breathe. That was just Toby who did the strangling. Everybody else just did a hold, but Toby liked to cause pain in these children to the points their like arms would pop out. Like one of the other kids' arms popped out. Mine, I think, did pop out. I'm not sure, but I didn't go to the hospital, so I guess it wasn't. But a boy was in black and blue and swollen. This guy really, really liked to cause pain in children. And he was in, well, how was he in charge of children? There was no supervision. The parents only saw their kids 1 hour a month. And there was complaints from some of the other kids, but then Toby would just come in and rip the shit out of them. There was one kid who came in younger than me. He was getting hurt by Toby, so he told his parents. The parents told the program. Toby ripped the shit out of the kid. The kid told his parents again. So the program once again told Toby. Toby ripped the shit out of him. Then on the third time, Toby stopped. Toby goes, oh, I better be worried about you now. I can't hold you. I'm the only staff member that can't hold you. Oh, no. Well, you better believe I'll get one of them to do it. And that's what he told this other kid while he cries. This is horrible shit. I'm not even talking about the food poisoning. The fridge broke on a Friday and they didn't want to tell the program staff to go get new food. So they fed it to us until we all got food poisoning severely. I was out in bed vomiting for 7 days straight. I was dead sick, couldn't get out of bed. And that wasn't the first food poisoning. That was just the worst one. They made me drink chunky milk, or I had to eat the rotten eggs. And then there was also like some rotten sausage that wasn't as bad. And I could either eat that or get strangled again on the strangled couch where I turn blue and they cut off my breathing. My arms pop out. They make me black and blue. Yeah, I don't like that. And so that was the choice. Not to mention, I have an eating disorder from all the shit that's happening to me. I'm afraid to eat because people keep on poisoning and hurting me when I'm around food. At the age of 4, a kid put ketchup in my orange juice at breakfast. I was grabbed from the breakfast table, held down, and given a double dose of the same medication I was just given. All because the kid next to me at breakfast said I must have not taken my meds because he was trying to play a game with me. The ketchup and the orange juice was supposed to piss me off, but I didn't get mad. I just continued eating my eggs. So the kid decided, oh, I'm going to go get this kid hurt. I'll get him really mad. And oh boy, did he. He had me held down and given a double dose of medication. Not only did that other kid get me mad, he gave me a eating disorder. I'm afraid to eat at this point. So that's at 4 years old. Then at the age of 5 to 7, my mother gives me an overdose. So she has me eat pills, and then I OD. And then only like a couple months later, I eat a mushroom, and my mother gives me a full bottle of Epicac as a punishment. Extra Epicac. I don't have a problem with anybody giving their child a regular dose of Epicac. But if you're going to give your child a full bottle as a punishment, you're a fucking asshole that deserves to be hung by a tree. You do not poison people and give them permanent damage for the rest of their lives, all because you want to feel tough. You want to feel big. I give my children a big bottle of Epicac. Oh, you think you're bad giving your child soap? Oh, you think you're bad giving your child hot sauce? Well, I gave my child a full bottle of Epicac as a punishment. That's my mother. Fuck the hot sauce. I got Epicac. Full bottle. Extra. Extra is the key word there. Extra. More than was ever directed. So, keep that in mind. Now, we moved to Texas. I'm now in Maine. They want a vacation and sit on the beach. So they bring me from no education in New Mexico to no education in Maine. How do they get away with this? They say they're going to homeschool me. My mother, who's literally completely nuts, is going to homeschool me. No, she screamed at me. You should know this answer. Why don't you know this answer? Did you read the words? You need to know this answer. That's my mother. Then she gets more mad the more you don't know. This is my mother's teaching. Get mad that your son doesn't know something. That's it. That's her teaching motto. Because she's with preschoolers. Preschoolers, you just sit by them and tell them to press the triangle. You let them play with toys. My mother wants to be a teacher for somebody who's 11 doing star constellations, fractions, things like that. She doesn't know how to explain these things, and half the stuff she doesn't know herself, and she doesn't want to learn. Well, Mom, to be a teacher, you have to go over the lesson plan. You have to know what you're teaching. So you have to look over my work. You need to know what I'm doing, and then you need to teach it to me. But you don't even know what you're doing. You're wanting a drink is what you're doing. You're locking me in a room, walking away to go do something for hours. You're literally screaming at me, telling me the only time she did any real lesson planning is when my father was around. My father actually did try to actually teach me something. He did much better than my mother at teaching me at that kitchen table. And he only zoomed past. He was not part of this. Okay, so what happened after that? Well, she hit the reset button again. Remember, no, I'm still not getting any medical care for the overdose and the shit she's doing to me. So then she hits the reset button and we go to Massachusetts and Chelmsford. Now, another school has to try to figure out what level I'm at. Now, I'm now missing 4 years and my mother's calling me slow. So they just assume that I had all my grades, I went to all my classes, and I'm just slow. I just slept through the classes. They have no clue. My mother and father are lying to the schools. They're not telling them that I just missed 4 years of school. No, they're saying, oh no, he was homeschooled. He got class in New Mexico. He got class everywhere. He's just slow. No, I have been robbed of my education. Yes, I do have maybe dyslexia. Now I have anxiety and PTSD, and I have hyperactivity. But a kid would be slow if he's going through the shit I'm going through because you need an education. You cannot have somebody skip 5 grades, redo first grade, all that type of shit, and expect them to go on. It just doesn't work that way. You need to have the proper prior information. And because I did not, had a lot of trouble catching up. I had to do 4 years of classes in 1 year all at once. That's almost impossible. It took me multiple years to catch up. And on top of this, I got a crazy mother at home screaming at me. I got this total of drugs making me drool in the morning. So I'm trying to stay awake in the morning so I can learn, yet I'm drooling and fighting meds in the morning. Oh boy. And then when they give me the Ritalin, it counteracts the night meds, so I pick right up. But then also, because the Ritalin cures my ADHD, I level out. Then, when the Ritalin and the night meds wear off, I just go with my normal hyper self. Then they introduce downers in there in the afternoon, and I go straight down. Then, as the downers wear off, I go back up to my regular up level. Then, at nighttime, they give me a cocktail that makes my heart beat funny. I feel sick. I feel so drowsy. I mean, Thorazine, Seroquel, Trazodone, Risperidone, with making my nipples leak liquid. I mean, so many others. So I'm wicked down now. I'm almost afraid for my life as I fall asleep sometimes. I even told the doctors and my mother this. They didn't care. They upped the doses when I told them about stuff like that, side effects. It's crazy. It's crazy that I'm talking about my heart beating funny and being scared because the meds are causing this deep scared feeling, and they decide to up the meds some more. Anyway, so at this point, I'm just drugged silly. My mother drugged me for years. She gave me overdoses. She falsely reported to doctors. And now she's going to spend 2 years doing that again. So she goes around Massachusetts looking for doctors that will feed into her fantasy. Whenever she finds a doctor that will feed into her fantasy, she brings me there. If we have group meetings, I try to call out the lies. She's lying. She's manipulating. She's lying. Stop it. Stop it. They allow it to continue. It's hurting my mental health. We're literally in front of a mental health doctor while my mother affects my mental health, belittles me, makes up stories about me, makes up mental health disorders right in front of the doctor. And even if I say she is lying, nobody listens to me. Nobody ever listens to the child. It's always the mother and father. So my father's just nodding his head all the time, yupping. He's not really making any definitive help on either side. He's always just helping my mother with whatever she wants to do. Whatever my mother is doing, that's the person he's going to support. I am out of this equation. I have no say in it. I never had a say. They like to pretend like I have a say. My father will say, well, you had a say to go to Texas. Oh, really? So if I said I wanted to stay in Texas, would I get to stay? Would I? You say that the whole family uprooted from Westford and moved to Texas because the 7-year-old child agreed with the mother, then said yes, then said no, then said yes. Then the mother brought him into a room and said, you need to stick with yes. So we did all that because I stuck with a yes. Well, this time I have a definite yes. I want to stay in Texas and get medical care. Would have they listened? Would have my father and mother listened to me? No, they wouldn't have. They never ever gave me any decisions. That even if that tiebreaker went wrong, if I made no decision, my mother would have been the deciding vote. She always got her way. It doesn't matter what happens. My mother is always the deciding vote. She outvotes me and my father on everything. She sucked my father's money dry, just to try to mistreat me with medical care. And this is the fucked up part. My father thinks that hurting me was a good thing. Oh, I did all this good hurting of you. I spent all this good money hurting you. So that makes me better than most people. He doesn't understand his actions have consequences, and the level of neglect I got causes permanent damage. And it's not something that gets undone at 18. It's something that sticks with you for life. So now I can't drive, I can't walk proper, I can't move my arms proper, I can't talk proper, my voice isn't proper. It goes up and down. Can't control my nervous system. When I move my thumb, my leg shakes. This stuff, I've been falling down during like light shows and funny noises for 25 years. My father saw me fall during fireworks. He saw me fall during headaches in the kitchen. He's seen my leg bounce around. He probably heard about the seizure where I got left out in the woods in New Mexico. He's got multiple calls from the emergency room when I was living homeless saying I had a seizure on the side of the road. He's got several phone calls saying I was left dead on the side of the road. He's got hundreds of phone calls from Lowell General Hospital saying I was in life-threatening condition. He has so many of these events right there that he can see, but he ignores them. He tries to avoid his responsibilities and looking at the truth as much as possible. If the hospital's calling, don't answer the phone, he thinks. If I'm trying to talk to him about something difficult, change the conversation. If my mother's beating me in front of him, walk away. If my mother's going through liver failure and she's going for the liquor cabinet with only 20% of her liver working and she's only allowed to be home for 24 hours and that might kill her, he tries to walk to the kitchen and turn his back to let her drink. This is my father's method. When something gets difficult, turn your back and run away. Don't go up to your wife and say, I am putting all this liquor cabinet out where you can't get it. You are not allowed to drink while you're here. Instead of saying that to his own wife, who's dying from alcohol and is now trying to get more alcohol in her, instead of being a man and going up to her and saying, hey, no booze. This is for well people. He decides to let her drink and turn his back to the point where his son, at 19 years old, has to walk up to him and tell him what he needs to do. That's always me. That was always me, trying to be an adult, but not allowed to be. I was always told that children have no say in things. Even if we know something better than them, we're not allowed to talk about it. Like if my mother is poisoning me, I'm not allowed to tell her to stop. I try. But apparently, no matter what I do, I'm not allowed to speak like an adult. I always have to take the servient end. I always have to be the slave. I always have to be the one under his foot. You always got to be under them. You can't ever talk to them like an equal, my father and mother. They always have to have their foot on you or on me. There are some people that have this equality with him, like my sister and his husband. But me, never. Even when I was a child, he wouldn't even be, he would just let the foot go on me and stomp me no matter how many times. I remember one Christmas, my mother almost literally stomped me on the ground. And this is what she was going to do. I know from her last actions, how she always acts. So we're at Christmas and I'm sitting next to her. First, she says, get off the couch. I want the dog up here. You know better than a dog. I want the dog up here. So she throws me off this love seat and has me sit on the carpet. Now, this is a family gathering. You got a Christmas tree, the TV on, my sister, brother, and another person all on the big couch to the right.